In for Baccarat, and that goes in! Hugo Baccarat gives Flint City a 3-2. Buckley, the ball falls to Buckley. One-on-one with Etheridge. What a save!
Welcome into the first ever MSN All-State Media Day for girls soccer. Jonathan Turner alongside Dan Stickrat.
Ball comes in, a good head! 1-0! Shot, another save from Etheridge! Rebound, and it goes in the back of the net. The Bulldogs up 1-0! Burzma, but then for Vlasma! 3-0! Stewart Heiss with a shot! Upper 90 and in!
Effectively today here on the Michigan Soccer Network, we are launching our new division of player recruitment videos.
Mario Canoe now finds Stock. Finds Stock's got a left-footed banger. He shoots it! It's in! The Red Hawks equalize!
All right, I am joined now in studio by Vinnie Vasilevski, the general manager of Oakland County FC, plays in the USL League 2, and coming off their second victory of the season here this past Saturday over Lansing City 2-0. Vinnie, man, welcome back into our studios.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Always nice to be at MSN.
It is a pleasure to have you back in our studios. Again, last year you stepped back into the role as a coach, and now you're back into the role as general manager. First off, kind of talk about what the general manager role is for a USL League 2 team.
Yeah, so the role is pretty much handling soccer operations. So, preseason signing players, scouting players, assembling the team, making sure the guys get registered, making sure the guys are happy throughout the season, kind of being that liaison between player and coach as well during the season, and then working with the coach and finding the right fit for the team.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, when you start talking about the amateur level, and this is, I know we use the word pre-professional a lot at this level, the way you handle business is very much similar to what you might expect at the next level, getting into the professional ranks.
Yeah, I would say so. I think, speaking to a few people that came from Europe, I have friends that played in Europe, coached in Europe, and they find our country very interesting because when you're coaching USL2 or you're involved in USL2, a lot of these guys are getting drafted, John, right? You get 2 or 3 guys, the Bucks especially, they get 5 or 6 guys drafted, and they're like, wow, that 4th division is almost, you have players that could play in the 1st division, and so you kind of have to have that professional atmosphere to keep those guys around because a year from then, they're getting drafted.
No, I mean, and it's true, right? I mean, you just talked about a player coming back this past week who plays overseas. I was back here this week and joined the squad and had a big part in that game.
Yeah, we brought Keith Larson back. Keith was out in Macedonia from February to last month. Played in the 1st division, played very well, and their team ended up getting relegated, so we're working on finding another club for the fall. But he's back home, and he needs to stay fit. And he came back to the county, and he made a tremendous impact on that first game with 2 assists against Lansing in the 2-0 win.
Very, very cool. Now, you guys currently sit 2-2, so the first game of the season, you guys fell short in that first one. You won your first game of the season at home, a 1-0 victory over Union FC Macomb, and then you fell 2 games in a row, and then won here this past weekend against Lansing City. You're currently sitting 5th in the standings, so talk about the trajectory of this team and where you feel that you guys are at right now.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I mean, obviously, Union coming into the fold, you saw some players move, so we lost some players from last year, but also lost a lot of veterans. So Mike Millerani, Bobby Harris, Dimitri Pliakos, a lot of players that were part of our team last year are no longer. So we have a new set of players, and I'm really proud of what we've done so far. I mean, to pretty much reload. We had 3 or 4 guys that came back, Melvin and Chewy and Keita. Some of the guys came back, but a lot of the new guys stepped up. Colin Arce's got 2 goals in 4 games from Michigan State. He's only been there for a year. He's a young guy. So 2-2 is not bad. We played Midwest to a 2-1 game. I thought we played pretty well. We were up 1-0 in the game, and unfortunately couldn't come out with a result. Ann Arbor, we struggled a little bit, but only played 4 games. We have a game in hand on a few teams, and we're only, I think, 2 or 3 points out of second. So if we can get some results. It'll be exciting. I mean, to be in the hunt is exciting, John. I mean, for our team, we're in a tough division. You got Bucks, you got Kalamazoo, you got Midwest. So to be in the hunt, you got to be proud of the group we got going right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you're currently sitting right now, as you mentioned, 5th in the table. You've got 6 points. You mentioned a couple games in hand. You're playing against Kalamazoo, who currently right now has 8 points. So, if you can go into Kalamazoo here this weekend and take care of business and steal 3 points out of that game, you're definitely in that conversation of being in the top echelon of this Great Lakes division. Midwest United has played 7 games so far. They're 6-0-1, and I've seen them obviously play against Union FC Macomb here this past weekend, where they won 2-0. I'm going to see them again here against Flint City Bucks on Saturday in that matchup. So it's going to be a very, very interesting weekend for USL League 2 matchups here in Michigan. So talk about, this team for a second. You've been around for how many years now?
My 4th season.
4th season, but the team itself has been around for 5?
7.
7 years?
Yep.
So it's been around for 7 years. And talk about, what this team means to the community in Oakland County. I know that you started off back at Stony Creek and you made your way to Clawson, and now your home is now at Royal Oak High School. But I saw you guys had over 600, 600 fans plus at your first home game. This past week, I'm not sure if the numbers were there, but you guys seem to have a pretty good fan base that's growing in Oakland County. But talk about that, because I think right now trying to get fans to come to games on a Saturday night when it's nice outside during the summer can be one of the hardest, most challenging aspects of your job.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely moving to Royal Oak 2 years ago from Clawson Stadium, I think it was a good move. I think the stadium just kind of has that tighter feel with the stands closer to the stadium. To the field, and we throw a good game day on. I mean, the issue is where do you take your 5-year-old? How do you get them interested? They're not going to watch the game the whole time. So we got face painting and blow up bounce houses and live music. We have Zioli's, one of our big sponsors. They do free pizzas at the game. They have some discounts before the game. If you go on a game day, they have half off your bill. They do cheap beers, before the game. I think those are things that you do to get the community involved, because it's not just the soccer. It's, hey, what can I do on a Saturday night to have some family fun? And I think watching those kids run around the bounce houses while the parents can enjoy the game, and I think it's important. You have to show the community that you want to show them a good time. So I think we've definitely improved in that area since we've moved to Royal Oak. We've made it more of a event and not just a game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, we've obviously covered many USL League 2 games here over the last couple of years, and I can tell you that getting the kids involved is a huge aspect of growing your fan base, right? Because again, families are looking for things to do on the cheap, on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night during the summer. And not saying that this is a cheap, but for the value that you're getting out of going to a game and with the bounce houses and things like that, it really turns into a really fun family environment that does not break the bank, because you start talking about going to a Tigers game on a Saturday, right? Or going to a football game during the fall, right? Those things are hundreds of dollars before you even walk in the door, and then on game day. So the reality is that creating an event that allows families to be able to bring their kids and not spend, a ton of money is a victory in the game of soccer, specifically at this level. And it's really, really cool what you guys have been able to do in Oakland County. And I think right now what's starting to happen too is, 7 years in, you guys haven't made the playoffs yet, right? That's the one thing that has not happened. But what you have seen last year, I think all said and done, you end up finishing 3rd in the league, and that was the best finish you'd ever had. And again, you start talking about the teams that have been around for a while, right? And the teams that are going to have longevity. The Bucks have been around for 29 plus years, right? Going into 30 years. They've had a lot of success. Your teams are chasing the Bucks, right? In this division. You've got teams facing right now. Teams are obviously chasing Midwest United. What does Midwest United have on the west side of the state? They've got a big, deep club to pull from, right? That's a huge difference. And so you're starting to make waves in the way the game is being played on the field. And I'm assuming the expectations this season are high.
Yeah, they're high. I mean, our goal is always, and I think it's always good to be realistic. I think our division deserves 3 playoff spots. I'll say that a million times. I'll scream it from a rooftop. We're one of the best divisions in the country, top 2 or 3 for sure. And I think any one of our competitors in our division would believe that. So, yeah, expectations are high, though. I believe with what we have going on, I think a reasonable goal, you always want to be in that top 3 or 4 in the hunt going into the last week. That's always our goal. I think our community has a lot of great talent to pull from. I know Coach G was talking about that on one of his shows with you about this area has a lot of good players. So you have to have those expectations for good players, right? When they come in, if you don't give them good expectations or high expectations, then what are we here for? So yeah, we definitely want to make the playoffs. It's always a goal that we should be in the hunt. That's always the minimum expectation.
You guys play Kalamazoo here this Friday. We kind of talked about that a little bit. But then up on Sunday, you guys take on another opponent at home as you guys take on AFC Ann Arbor at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. AFC Ann Arbor right now is sitting currently in 4th place in the league, just above you in points. They have 8. Talk about that matchup for a second. Another home environment.
Yeah, it's a big game. We just lost to them last week, so losing away, yeah, it's always tough. But you get a chance to get some redemption back at home. We have a game in hand on them too, so if we can get a result, I think that puts us in a really, really good spot. They're just always a tough out. Ann Arbor's always been a tough opponent for us. Somewhat of a rivalry. It's a little bit farther, but they're the next closest one to Oakland, so it's always been a tight game, and they've knocked us out of the playoffs every year. So I think there's definitely some motivation this weekend to get a good result against them.
So you guys fell 1-0 here last week to them. And upcoming here on Wednesday, tomorrow, after we record this, Flint City takes on AFC Ann Arbor as well. So there'll be some interesting standing updates here later this weekend as we look at how things start to shape up. Because again, you've got Flint City Bucks taking on Midwest United on Saturday. They've got AFC Ann Arbor taking on Flint tomorrow. A lot of big matchups here taking place here over the next week or so, which will really, I think, start to again get a clearer look at what the standings are going to be and sort of how things start to shape out. But something happened here recently to you on a personal level that I wanted to touch base with about for a moment. And not only are you the general manager of Oakland County FC, you're also a dad. But
Yes.
now you're not a first-time dad, right? This is the third time, but you just had a baby here in the last week and a half or so. Talk about that. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I have 2 daughters, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, Viviana and Valencia, and we just gave birth to our first son, Victor, a week ago. It's exciting. Hopefully I'm done now. I think it's time to put more focus on soccer. No, just kidding. But really excited. It's definitely a different feeling being a dad. Over the last few years, I started coaching at Romeo, as you know, 8 seasons ago, and I wasn't a dad, and I wasn't married. And now I'm married with children, and I think it's made me a better coach overall, a better manager of people overall. I think when you have kids, you have a different perspective on life, and you start saying, hey, this player, this is someone's kid, and I want to teach them or coach them the right way. So just adding a son to my life, it's been great. The club has been really good about it. All the boys have been really sending messages, and it's been a great summer. It's a great start to the summer. Spending a lot more time with family this year. This is why I've been trying to get off the bench in the summer and just focusing more on the player personnel part. So luckily Steve's been doing a good job, and I've been able to kind of spend some more time with my family. So it's been great.
Oh, really, really cool. Well, Vinnie, we appreciate you stopping by here. The general manager of Oakland County FC, game coming up here on Friday against Kalamazoo, and then back at home against AFC Ann Arbor on Sunday. And they currently sit 5th in the USL League 2 Great Lakes Division. Vinnie, thank you very much.
Thanks, Trevor.